Why you're here on Earth in physical reality is to learn a skill that is very important when you become who you truly are. And that is the ability to focus. Focus might seem like a positive attribute. You focus on a project to get it done. You focus on your appearance or your hair or your nails or your house or your clean car or all these things. You focus on what you want to have happen. And we're not saying focus in a way to make things happen that you think you lack. We're saying focus in the present moment on all the good that is happening, choosing this higher perspective, maintaining a higher perspective, seeing everything as good as right. Everything is wonderful. Everything is working out for you, that you are the creator of this reality. This is the point of focus we're talking about here. And from time to time, you will encounter an event or a thought, and you will drop that focus. You will drop out of that higher perspective and into a limited perspective because some limiting belief has been triggered by that event. At the point of this, where you're in some sort of fear and you're feeling negative emotion, which is the guidance from your inner self, letting you know that your focus is now on the negative or on the fear or on the subject you think is wrong or bad. In those times of fear, what you will want to do is to change it or control it in some way. And we say, think about focus. What are you here to do? You are here to be an allower. You are here to live in love and acceptance. You are here to revisit everything you think is wrong and look at it from a different perspective, from a higher perspective. And so the focus then, the ability to focus is the ability to realize when you're out of alignment, when you're being triggered and you're in some sort of fear and you're receiving urges to change the conditions and all thoughts that are associated with that fear that are flooding into you, to know that you're perceiving an illusion. You're not perceiving the truth. And so from that point, that awareness, you can think new thoughts. You can look at that subject, not run away from the subject, not distance yourself from the people involved, not disconnect from that subject itself, but to rethink the subject. Why is the subject happening? Why is it coming to you in your reality? Why is it appearing right now? Why am I feeling this way right now? What is it that I think is wrong? And then choose a higher perspective and use your powers of focus to focus on the positive aspects of that subject that you're afraid of, that subject that brings up fear, of that subject you think is wrong or bad. It cannot be wrong or bad. It cannot exist in your reality without it having some point of information. You see, you have to understand that when you're in a manifestation event, this manifestation has been attracted to you, has been brought to you so that you can find that limiting belief, process the limiting belief, and move forward on your journey of self-discovery. So if you encounter something that is bad or wrong, you dip into the fear, you receive the urges to change the conditions, you receive all the thoughts that are associated with that fear. It's triggering this limiting belief, the emotion that you feel, the negative emotion, the indication that you're out of alignment, you're focused on something you do not prefer, and the intensity of that feeling is associated with a limiting belief. Once you're aware of the system, then you can stop and say, hold on here. This thing I fear, this thing I think is wrong or bad, these people who I think are behaving badly or doing things I don't want them to do, this environment that I wish could change some way because I'm in fear of this and I perceive that this is a threat to me in some way, it is only coming because of this limiting belief. So let's take a look at that subject. Instead of running away from it, instead of trying to argue for your limitations or to make other people see your point of view, you say, let's see if I can see another point of view in this subject. And so then you'll come to this higher perspective and you'll start to have curiosity about this subject. What is it that I think is bad? How could this affect me? Why am I so worried about this issue? Why am I taking such a hard stance on this subject? And then you can say, this is all resistance. This is resistance to what is happening, and this is not for my benefit at all. And then you use your power of focus to say, maybe I can't see the perfection in this right now, but I do know that it is perfect in some way. Maybe I can't see how it came to me right now, but I know that it came to me for some higher purpose. Maybe I am not feeling good, and I can't really talk about this or resolve this subject right now, but I know that I can come back to it sometime when I'm in more alignment. And in that is how you use your focus. You're saying to yourself, I am now seeing the difference between the illusion and the reality, between the confusion and the clarity, between the victim and the creator, between the fear and the love, between the urges and feelings and thoughts that do not feel good to me, and the thoughts that do feel good to me that are based in love. When I can see these two side by side and realize they are both sides of the same coin, they are both there for me. There is nothing inherently good and there's nothing inherently bad. It is all perfect. It is all the way it should be. And if I think it's bad, well, that's something within a belief system that is not true. It's false. And I can prove it false. I have the tools now to prove it false. And so I'm going to use my point of focus to understand the feelings, to know where they're coming from, to realize that in this moment I'm disconnected from the source within me that is always guiding me to where I want to go. And I'm playing around with the illusion. And I'm exploring a little bit of the inauthentic version of me. And I'm wishing that things were different as the victim who perceives that things outside can cause them to feel something. When you can understand that all the feelings are generated based in your alignment or out of alignment, then you can simply know that in this time of fear, you're out of alignment, it is not true, and you can choose to see it in a new way. Those of you who have been guided here because you were wanting to be more positive, you're wanting to think more positive thoughts, you're wanting to look at the positive aspects, that's wonderful. But change cannot happen until you learn to focus. When you are simply looking at all the positive aspects, that's great, but ignoring or pushing away or hiding from what you perceive to be bad or wrong, well, then you're only playing half the game. And great change cannot happen because until you pay attention to what you fear, until you pay attention to what causes you some grief or worry or doubt or anxiety, until you can look at it and see the good in it, well, then you will have no ability to focus on the positive aspects when something you think bad happens, because you'll be always dragged out of alignment and into the depth of despair based in this consciousness of lack, consciousness of fear. To consciously revisit and reassess every single belief that is limiting within you will allow you to stay in alignment more of the time and receive inspiration. The inspiration will always spark the fear. So if you're not processing these limiting beliefs, those fears will be intense. If you're ignoring what you think is bad or wrong, or hiding from what you think is bad or wrong, or wishing what you think is bad or wrong would stay away or be eliminated in some way, then you cannot focus on the essential quality of this reality that you live in, which is perfection. So if something good happens, you can see that as perfect. That's easy to see as perfect. It's easy to see as wonderful. But if you think something bad is happening, well, you're ignoring the perfection of that thing. So it doesn't matter what it is, any subject in your life. If you have a spouse who's ornery and asking you to do things and be different than you are, well, you're not really paying attention to what is active within your vibration that is causing this mirror to come to you. And so if you argue with your spouse or argue with your government or argue with your society or argue with your friends, what you're doing is you're trying to get them to agree with you so you don't have to face that limiting belief. And that's a highly ineffective way to navigate physical reality. And you see people doing this all the time. So those people receive manifestation events after manifestation events after manifestation events, always running away from the thing that scares them, the thing that they think is bad or wrong, until they start to look at the subject from another perspective and not shy away from the potential that their stance is the stance based in fear, not the other people's beliefs. It's their belief that's based in fear. Once you're able to see this and realize this and become neutral on all subjects, well, then you'll be in alignment. You'll be in alignment more of the time. You'll feel better more of the time. You'll be more effective more of the time. You'll start attracting things that resonate with love more of the time, including money and friendships and relationships and health and time and satisfaction in your jobs and all these wonderful things that come along with that, because that is your birthright. And the only thing you're doing is by holding the position that something is bad or wrong is holding off everything you truly want. So until you are ready to face the things you think are bad and wrong, you're going to be faced with manifestation events that are going to bring you out of alignment. And when you're out of alignment and not focused on the truth of this reality, you will act on urges to change the conditions. And every action taken on urge to change the condition is just more of the exploration of the illusion. It'll never bring you what you want. No amount of control will ever bring you what you want. The only way to control your reality is to hold the focus that everything is right, that everything is working out for you, that everything that comes to you is for your benefit, and that you are the creator of this reality. And with that, we'd like to talk to you about anything you'd like to talk about. Who'd like to start?